Hi everyone, this is Al Woods from Woods Recruiting. Today I want to talk about slipping through the cracks. What does it really mean? So I talk about it a lot. I've been talking about slipping through the cracks as it relates to the recruiting process for years. And there's really no official definition. There's probably a definition, but for me, it relates to student athletes. And think about this for a moment. You're going to have a student athlete who has everything. They've got good grades. They play on travel teams. They're at the best tournaments. They're at the camps. They got good coaching, a lot of video. Their test scores are good. They're outstanding people, well-liked in the community. They're respected. They're great teammates. They got all the intangibles you would want in a student athlete. College coaches are dreaming about kids like this. They're drooling all over themselves to get kids like this. The number one problem is there are a whole lot of student athletes who are just like that, who have all the positive intangibles needed to get to the next level. It's just a lot of them. And somebody is going to get lost in the sauce when it comes to recruiting. And they're going to slip through the cracks. You know, recruiting service, the recruiting process is like a large body of land, and it gets very hot and very dry, and it develops cracks. So you got all of these student athletes standing on this big giant piece of land. Somebody's going to slip through that crack. It happens all the time. That's just the way it is. It's a disastrous scenario. But that is what recruiting is a lot of times for student athletes. Even there are kids who go to Division I schools, and you're wondering, how did that player ended up at that school, a low D1, when they probably could have been somewhere else? That happens too. I call it they got some size, a lot of talent, a lot of ability, and you're shaking your head because they're at a lower level division program. And so what I refer to that as student athletes going to college programs beneath their athletic ability. I mean, you don't see too many 7-footers at a D3 school. So these things happen. There are countless of stories of kids who are slipping through the cracks, going to schools beneath their ability. And then you have some of the more tragic scenarios where they just don't go to college at all. They're sitting there. I mean, how many times have you seen toward the end of someone's senior year? The senior year is rapidly coming to a close, and then all of a sudden, popping up out of nowhere, you see these unsigned senior events. And it's like putting a Band-Aid on a bullet wound. I mean, it's not going to really help that much. I mean, to suggest that one tournament will solve all your recruiting problems for years and years of recruiting problems and issues that you've had, and then one tournament on one weekend is going to solve your problems, it's not going to happen. But it's just, an attempt. They're trying, but it's not going to work. Recruiting, it can be devastating. Recruiting is a constant struggle. It's a tug of war of ideas. You're trying to get your name out to college coaches. Maybe you've developed some kind of strategy, but you have no idea if the strategy will work. Slipping through the cracks is real. It's unavoidable for a lot of student athletes. It's extremely unfortunate, the end result. That's what it is. Sometimes it is so bad, it is like a cancer slipping through the cracks. It's not going to go away. It's one of the deadliest downsides, I believe, of recruiting. It's going to affect the lives of millions of student athletes. I mean, the pressure, as you are when the student athlete is ending their summer, the summer heading into their senior year, their last year of high school athletics. They went through the whole summer circuit, and maybe they've heard from some coaches. They were at some tournaments. And this is all sports. But nothing is really going on afterwards. It kind of gets quiet. Silence. No emails. No text messages. No direct messages from Twitter. Nothing. Nothing in the mail. That's a real possibility when your summer ends and now it's your senior year and it's time to focus on your school year. Now you have your high school season to prepare for. Volleyball, football, basketball, softball, baseball. I think it's just pressure. A lot of these kids, they know where they're going. When the summer is over, they have made commitments to a half a dozen schools because they've been offered. So they are the precious, lucky, privileged few. But there are more unranked student athletes than there are ranked student athletes. Think about that for a moment. Ranked. The kids who are ranked, they get to pick where they want to go to school. The ones who are unranked, they're going to have a hard time. It's an uphill climb. Like trying to climb Mount Everest without a rope. Oftentimes what happens in recruiting is that student athletes and their parents will just sit back and wait for the phone to ring. They'll sit back and wait for their high school coach to handle all aspects of recruiting. They'll sit back and wait for their club coach. They'll sit back and wait to get all of the responses from all the tournaments and camps that they attended. And so now what's going to happen is that you're sitting back and you're waiting and you're going to get nothing. You haven't heard from anyone. You're not going to hear from anyone. And then you don't have a strategy. The high school coach is not equipped to handle recruiting. They're just not. It's not anything against the high school coach. It's just, that's just the way it is. That's how it's always been. So you're out there spending your hard-earned dollars, the parents that is, going to all of these camps. Football camp. You're at 4 and 5 camps, and you're one of 300 people at a camp. Maybe more, maybe less. But they don't see you. You go to the softball camp, softball exposure event. The college coaches are not at your game. The moment you hit that 2-run home run, nobody's there to see it. That's going to help propel your career. You're that AAU basketball standout. You got size, you got grades, but the moment you're playing your best game on court number whatever, nobody's there. They don't know you. You don't exist. And this is why student athletes, one of the reasons they slip through the cracks of the recruiting process. These are the reasons. If you're not ranked, then slipping through the cracks is going to be unavoidable. I can promise you that. And if you think I'm joking, sit back and wait. And when you get only, and you know you're better than a certain level, and that's all you get, you're going to be disappointed. But then what do? Do you shut off your career and say, the heck with it? I'm going to end and not play in college because all I got was Division III schools. All I got was a couple of NAIA schools. All I got was maybe a junior college. Well, I'll go to the prep school, and that will help my chances. No, it won't. I'll go to a junior college. Maybe that will help my chances. No, it won't. The chances now, when you're still in high school, do you know that a lot of these student athletes, they have, all of them, as a matter of fact, not a lot, all of them, they have 6 years. You got middle school, you got high school. Combined, that's 6 years of recruiting. Recruiting just doesn't happen and end during the senior year, people. You gotta get your name out there for years. Coaches change jobs all the time. They're here 1 minute, 3 or 4 years later, they're gone. The next year, they're somewhere else. The assistants change jobs. Those assistants become head coaches. Those assistants become assistant coaches someplace else. So you got to keep your name out there all the time. You got to be aggressive. You got to be relentless. Okay, that's all I got for this topic. What I would like for you to do is let me know what you think of this topic. Leave a comment in the comment section below. Your comments are the oxygen we need to grow. Thank you so much for listening. This is Al Woods of Woods Recruiting.